You go to bed at a decent hour. You don't wake up during the night, but when the alarm rings, you feel like you've been hit by a truck. You've lived long enough to know when something's off. You may not have the energy you used to, but you're no stranger to your own body. You've felt tired before, after a long day, after a sleepless night, after grief, after joy. But this is different. It's the kind of tired that doesn't go away. The kind that greets you before your feet even touch the floor. A fatigue that doesn't care how early you went to bed, how quiet the room was, how many hours you spent sleeping. You open your eyes, and instead of relief, your first thought is, already? At this stage of life, sleep isn't something you take for granted anymore. You work for it. You avoid caffeine in the afternoon. You turn the lights down early. You even bought one of those pillows that supports your neck just right. You've tried warm baths, herbal teas, nighttime supplements, and for a while you thought maybe one of those things helped. But then morning comes, and the truth is undeniable. You slept, but you didn't rest. It's not just your body that feels heavy, it's your mind too. You find yourself forgetting things more often. Names slip, words get stuck. You stand in a room and forget why you walked in. You tell yourself it's aging, that this is just what happens. But something about it still feels wrong, because deep down, you remember what good sleep used to feel like. You remember waking up clear-headed. You remember mornings where you didn't need 3 cups of coffee to feel human. You remember energy, not the kind you needed to dig ditches or run marathons, but the kind that carried you steadily through the day without resentment or pain. Now, you're exhausted by 10 a.m., and you're not alone. You start noticing it in others too. Friends at church, neighbors down the street, even your spouse. Everyone's tired. Everyone's a little slower, a little foggier, a little more irritable. And when you bring it up, the answer's always the same. Must be age. Probably hormones. We're not 30 anymore. And yes, that's true. You're not 30. But you're not helpless either. Something inside you suspects that this tiredness isn't inevitable. That maybe it's not just about years passing or wear and tear or genetics, that maybe, just maybe, there's something you're still doing that's making this worse. Something you never would have guessed. Because here's the strange part, your nights aren't chaotic. You're not tossing and turning for hours. You're not waking up to go to the bathroom 5 times. In fact, some nights you sleep straight through. And still, when morning comes, you feel like someone stole the fuel from your tank while you were unconscious. You go to the doctor. Your labs come back normal. Maybe a little low in vitamin D, maybe slightly high blood pressure. Nothing alarming, nothing that explains the constant, bone-deep exhaustion. So they send you home with some vague advice. Eat better, move more, stress less. But that's not a plan, that's a pamphlet. You want to know why. Why after 7-8 full hours of sleep, do you feel like you never shut down? Why is your body still aching? Why does your mind still feel clouded? Why does rest not restore? Because if you're honest, this exhaustion is starting to steal things from you. You don't enjoy mornings anymore. You dread errands. You skip invitations. You sit more, move less, and feel guilty about both. You wonder how much of your life is left, and if you'll even feel awake enough to live it. That's not just aging, that's a problem. And here's the thing, the reason you're waking up tired might not be aging at all. It might not be stress. It might not even be the mattress, or the melatonin, or the room temperature. In fact, the thing that's sabotaging your rest might be hiding in the last place you'd ever suspect, your evening routine. Specifically, what you're eating. And I don't mean junk food. I'm talking about things you've been told are healthy, things you may have added to your diet to stay youthful, energized, regular. Things like fruit. Yes, fruit. Because while you're doing everything you can to give your body rest, some of these foods are quietly triggering the exact opposite. They're causing micro-stress, spikes, digestive interruptions, nighttime wake-ups you don't even remember. And they're keeping your body's internal system so busy, they never get the chance to recover. So the next day, you wake up depleted, again and again and again. This pattern, this silent sabotage, can last for years without anyone pointing it out, because everyone's too busy blaming age. But what if this wasn't just aging? What if this was a fixable mistake? What if you could give your body what it actually needs to repair itself at night and wake up feeling like you again? You don't need more hours. You need deeper ones, and the key might be hiding in your kitchen. We've been told that sleep is a numbers game, that if you hit 7 or 8 hours, you've done your part. You're told to go to bed earlier, to wind down, to avoid screens, maybe play some white noise in the background, and you'll be fine, because sleep equals rest, right? And rest equals repair. But that's only half the truth. Because you can clock in all the hours in the world, but if your body is spending that time putting out fires you unknowingly lit, then real rest never comes. And here's the hard part. No one ever taught you this. No one told you that the food you eat in the evening might be keeping your nervous system alert. No one told you that a healthy fruit eaten at the wrong time could disrupt your kidneys, your bladder, even your brain's ability to detox. No one told you that sleep can be shallow, even if it's uninterrupted, that your body can be in bed but not in healing mode. Because we think sleep is passive. Lie down, close your eyes, and let nature take over. But your body isn't doing nothing while you sleep. It's doing everything. It's repairing cells, regulating hormones, processing memories, cleaning your brain through a special system called the glymphatic system, something that only works when you're in deep, slow-wave sleep. But guess what slows it down? Digesting sugar at 9 p.m., processing acidity from citrus, managing insulin spikes, trying to push out excess fluid because of water-heavy fruits like watermelon or pineapple. Your body becomes so focused on digestion and elimination that it cancels recovery. You wouldn't try to mop the floor while someone's pouring juice on it. So why would your body heal itself when you've filled your system with foods that tell it to stay active? This is the myth nobody talks about, that sleep is automatic, that it's disconnected from diet, that if you get the hours, you'll be fine. It's not true. Your sleep isn't just about how long you're out. It's about what your body is allowed to do while you're out. And the older you get, the more delicate that window becomes. Your body doesn't bounce back like it used to. It needs every minute of that rest to be efficient, deep, uninterrupted. And yet we sabotage it with habits we were told were healthy. You've probably been told to eat fruit instead of dessert, that it's a better option than cookies or ice cream, that it's packed with vitamins, water, fiber. And that's true in the morning. But at night, that same fruit can become your biggest enemy because your body isn't trying to absorb nutrients when the sun goes down. It's trying to shut systems down, to clean, to restore, not to digest and balance blood sugar. You were told fruit is harmless. You were told 8 hours is enough. You were told to just get to bed earlier. But no one told you what not to do before bed. They left that part out. So now you're doing your best, eating light, sleeping long, cutting caffeine. And yet you still wake up exhausted, foggy, stiff, emotional, and blaming your age. But aging isn't the problem. The problem is you're following outdated advice. This myth has stolen years of quality sleep from people who did everything right. It's caused thousands of seniors to be misdiagnosed with depression, fatigue syndromes, even early signs of dementia, when in reality they were just running on poor quality sleep triggered by evening habits no one ever questioned. You don't need sleeping pills. You don't need more willpower. You don't even need more hours in bed. You need to stop interrupting the repair process. And that starts by questioning what you've been told is healthy and when you're consuming it. Because timing isn't just important for medicine, it matters for food, it matters for hydration, and most of all, it matters for sleep. This isn't about blaming yourself, it's about learning what no one taught you, and if you're willing to challenge the myth, if you're willing to test a new approach for just a few days, you might experience something that hasn't happened in years. A morning where you wake up feeling rested, not dragged, not drained, but clear, present, ready. That's not a fantasy. That's your body doing what it wants to do once you stop getting in its way. And to do that, we need to look deeper at what exactly is interrupting the healing process. Because not all foods are created equal, especially when it comes to sleep. Let's start by calling out the ones that look healthy on the outside, but act like sleep saboteurs after dark. This is why you wake up irritated for no reason, why you snap at people who didn't do anything wrong, why your spouse's chewing at breakfast suddenly feels unbearable, why the morning news makes you feel anxious before your day has even begun. It's not just because you're aging, it's because you're running on fumes. You go through your routine like a machine, make the coffee, sit quietly, scroll your phone, maybe stretch if your back lets you, but inside, you're already counting down the hours until you can sit back down, until the day ends, until you can finally rest again, even though you just woke up. This is why no supplement seems to work, why B-complex vitamins, magnesium powder, or whatever blend your neighbor swore by barely move the needle. You take them faithfully, but the fatigue is still there, like a film over your eyes, like cement in your legs. This is why focus is harder, why you reread the same sentence twice, why you forget appointments, why you walk into the kitchen and forget why you came. You're not losing your mind. You're just trying to function on a system that never got the chance to reset overnight. And here's the part no one tells you. It's not just about how you feel in the morning. It's about who you become over time when you don't feel rested. Because when you wake up tired for weeks, months, even years in a row, your whole identity starts to change. You stop being the person who plans trips, who joins friends for lunch, who laughs at small things. You decline invitations. You stop initiating. You cancel plans not because you're busy, but because you're too tired to show up as yourself. You start saying, "I'm just not up for it today," more often than not. But today turns into this week, then this season, then years. And it's not just mental. The body keeps score. Your metabolism slows down. Weight starts to creep on, not because you're overeating, but because your system is too stressed to burn properly. You're not moving as much. Your digestion changes. You might even notice inflammation in your face, your joints, your gut. And yet you keep thinking, "I'm doing everything right." You eat well, you go to bed early, you avoid caffeine, but nothing's changing because the core problem hasn't been addressed. Because poor quality sleep doesn't just leave you tired, it leaves you vulnerable to memory loss, to mood swings, to inflammation, to depression, to low immune function, to hormone imbalances that make aging harder than it has to be. And the tragedy? It's all happening while you're technically getting sleep. The numbers on your sleep tracker look decent. You don't remember waking up, but you never feel refreshed. You stop trusting your own body. You start thinking, "This is just how life is now," and that's the most dangerous belief of all. Because when you accept constant fatigue as normal, you stop searching for answers. You stop advocating for yourself. You settle into survival mode, and survival is not living. You lose your edge, you lose your spark, and slowly, you start losing the version of yourself you used to recognize. The version who used to be sharp, who used to finish crossword puzzles, not abandon them halfway through, who used to tell stories and remember every detail, who didn't need to write everything down just to get through the day. You start to grieve that person quietly and convince yourself it's just aging. But what if it's not? What if this slow fade isn't just inevitable decline, but a signal, a warning light, a message from your body that it's trying desperately to recover, but it can't? Because every night you're unknowingly blocking the process. And the longer this goes on, the harder it becomes to bounce back. Not impossible, but harder. That's why this isn't just a conversation about food, or energy, or even sleep. It's about your quality of life, your capacity to show up for the people you love, to think clearly, move freely, feel like yourself again. And the cost of ignoring this, and it's not just fatigue, it's everything fatigue takes from you. So let's look at what's really getting in the way. Let's call out the specific, silent triggers that are stealing your recovery, starting with the foods you were told were safe. Because once you see them clearly, you'll never unsee them. You've done everything right. You've stopped eating heavy dinners. You've cut out caffeine after noon. You've swapped out late-night snacks for something lighter, something healthier, maybe a bowl of fruit, a few slices of watermelon, a juicy orange, A few chunks of fresh pineapple to satisfy the craving without going for chocolate or cookies. You do it because you care about your body, because you've been told your whole life that fruit is good for you. Low calorie, packed with vitamins, natural, clean, so it feels like a smart choice. But what if that small bowl of healthy fruit is the very thing destroying your sleep? What if the habit you added to protect your health is quietly stealing it? Because here's the hidden truth. Not all fruit is bedtime friendly. In fact, some of the most common fruits people eat after dinner can absolutely wreck the quality of your sleep. Not because they're toxic, not because fruit is bad, but because the timing is all wrong, and your body is more sensitive to that than anyone ever told you. Let's start with the most innocent one, watermelon. It's light, refreshing, full of water, which sounds like a great thing until it isn't. Watermelon is about 92% water. That means your body has to process all of that liquid, and it does so in the hours after you eat it. So while you're lying in bed trying to drift off, your bladder is slowly filling. Your kidneys are working overtime. And in the middle of the night, bam, you wake up. Or maybe you don't fully wake up, but your sleep cycle gets disturbed just enough to stop deep rest from happening. And you never even connect the dots because all you had was a little fruit. And the scale doesn't move, but the fatigue creeps in. Now, let's talk about oranges. Citrus fruits are often seen as metabolism boosters, and while they are high in vitamin C, they're also high in acid. That acid doesn't just irritate your stomach, it irritates your bladder, and that irritation doesn't always show up as pain. Sometimes it just shows up as restlessness, as subtle inflammation that signals the body to stay on high alert, as light sleep that keeps you in the shallow end all night long. Oranges, grapefruits, tangerines, at night they're not helping. They're making your internal systems work harder at the exact moment they're supposed to be shutting down. And then there's pineapple, sweet, juicy, tropical, and loaded with natural sugar. That sugar spikes your insulin, yes, even though it's natural. And that spike triggers a cascade of signals to your body. Stay alert, stay active, digest, process, store. It's the exact opposite of what your system should be doing at 9 p.m. Because here's what no one tells you. Your body is not just digesting food, it's responding to it. And that response can either support deep sleep or block it completely. At night, your internal clock is designed to turn off the doing and turn on the repairing. But when you eat something like pineapple, or worse, a mix of sweet fruits, it pushes your system right back into doing mode. You're lying in bed, eyes closed, but your organs are on night shift, processing sugar, balancing fluid, managing insulin. And meanwhile, your brain never drops into that deep, restorative state it so badly needs, especially as you age. This is why the numbers lie. You can get 7 or 8 hours and still wake up feeling like a shell of yourself, because those hours weren't spent repairing, they were spent digesting. And here's where it gets even more dangerous. The older we get, the less margin we have. In your 20s, you could eat half a pizza and fall asleep like a baby. In your 30s, a little bloating. In your 40s, some grogginess. But in your 50s, 60s, 70s, that misstep doesn't just make you tired, it can tip the whole balance of your next day. Fatigue, brain fog, mood swings, joint pain, even blood pressure spikes. And none of it feels connected to the little bowl of fruit. Because no one's talking about this. No one's telling older adults to look here, to examine not just what you're eating, but when. Because your body doesn't treat all foods the same way all day. At night, even the healthiest options can become silent disruptors. Watermelon equals midnight bathroom runs, oranges equals subtle irritation and inflammation. Pineapple equals sugar crash. While you're trying to rest, they're not bad, but they're bad timing. And that makes all the difference. Because your body doesn't heal when it's busy. It heals when it's still. And stillness doesn't come when your system is processing sugar, water, and acid at 10 p.m. Your body should be winding down. Your nervous system should be softening. Your cells should be repairing. But instead, they're reacting, working, struggling. And you wake up thinking, this must just be age. But what if it's not? What if the first step to reclaiming deep, healing sleep isn't more hours, but better choices before bed? You don't need to give up fruit forever. You just need to respect the rhythm of your body, because at night, it's not asking for energy, it's asking for peace. And that peace starts with what you put on your plate, 2 hours before you ever lie down. Just like caffeine has a cutoff time, so should fruit. At a certain hour, your body is no longer asking for fuel, it's asking for silence. And every bite you take after that hour is either helping your system wind down or forcing it to stay awake, even if you're in bed. It's time to start thinking about food not as calories, but as signals. Signals that tell your body what to do next. And at night, the goal isn't energy, it's repair. The problem is, most people think food is neutral after a certain point in the day. They think if it's healthy, it's harmless. They don't realize that the same fruit that helps them stay regular in the morning can trigger inflammation or fluid retention if eaten at 9 p.m. This is the new paradigm. Your evening routine isn't just about blue light, breathwork, or bedtime stretches. It's about what you're feeding your system when it's trying to shut everything down. The good news? You don't have to give up fruit. You just need to choose the ones that support your body's natural rhythm. Take pears, for example. They're low in acid, easy on the bladder, and contain just enough fiber to support digestion without overstimulating your system. They don't trigger sugar spikes. They don't irritate your gut. They're calm food, grounding food, exactly what your body needs if you're trying to stay asleep through the night. Or consider bananas. Most people overlook them because they're so boring, but they're packed with potassium and magnesium, two minerals that act like natural muscle relaxants. Bananas don't just help your muscles recover, they help your nervous system calm down. One banana in the evening can reduce nighttime cramps, lower your heart rate, and support serotonin production, which eventually converts to melatonin. Speaking of melatonin, few people realize that tart cherries are one of the only fruits that naturally contain it. Not cherry juice full of added sugar, but real, unsweetened tart cherries. Eaten in moderation, they help your body ease into the sleep cycle naturally without forcing it with pills or synthetic supplements. These fruits don't just help you fall asleep, they help you stay asleep because they don't give your system more to manage. They tell it gently, you're safe now, it's time to heal. This is the shift, the moment you stop treating food like a fuel source and start treating it like a communication tool. What you eat in the evening is either telling your body we're still working or you can rest now. And that message, repeated night after night, determines the quality of your mornings, your energy, your weight, your mood, and even how fast you age. You don't need fancy gadgets or expensive sleep trackers to improve your rest. You need rhythm, simplicity, and a bit of wisdom about what your body can actually handle after the sun goes down. It's not about being strict, it's about being aligned, eating to support your biology, not fight against it. A sliced pear with a handful of walnuts, half a banana with a little chamomile tea, a few tart cherries instead of that evening dessert. These are small choices, but they create a massive difference over time, because when your body gets the message to rest and nothing interferes, you start to feel like yourself again. Not overnight, but steadily, subtly, like the return of someone you'd almost forgotten. You don't need to keep wondering why your energy's gone. You don't need to accept brain fog as your new baseline. You don't need to fear aging like it's a thief in the dark. You just need to give your body what it's asking for: peace, quiet, and the kind of food that doesn't start a war inside you while you sleep. This isn't about restriction, it's about support. And once you feel the difference, once you experience one full uninterrupted night of actual recovery, you'll wonder why no one told you this earlier. One of my clients, a 63-year-old woman named Teresa, came to me frustrated, foggy, and convinced that her best years were behind her. She had started waking up 2, sometimes 3 times per night, always around the same hours, 1:30 a.m., then again around 4 o'clock. At first, she chalked it up to menopause, then stress. Then she started wondering if something was wrong with her kidneys. Her doctor ran tests. Everything looked fine. So she was told the usual, it's just part of aging. But Teresa knew her own body, and something didn't feel fine. She kept a routine, went to bed by 10, no alcohol. She'd even switched to a lighter dinner, soups, salads, grilled vegetables. And she was proud of one particular habit she had added to replace dessert: a nighttime smoothie. It had almond milk, a little spinach, some pineapple for sweetness, and a few orange slices. "It helps me digest," she said, "and I figured it was better than cookies." She had no idea it was sabotaging her sleep every single night. See, that smoothie was doing more than giving her vitamins. It was hitting her with a double spike: sugar and acid. That pineapple and citrus combo was activating her digestive system, raising her insulin, irritating her bladder, and keeping her system far too stimulated to drop into deep rest. Her body was working overtime trying to balance blood sugar and clear out fluid, when it should have been focused on repairing cells and regulating hormones. She was lying in bed, but her biology was still wide awake, so we made one change, just one. She swapped the smoothie for something simple: half a banana and a cup of warm chamomile tea with a pinch of cinnamon. That's it. No dramatic diet, no sleeping pills, no supplements, just a food that gently supported her nervous system instead of flooding it with work. Within the first 3 nights, she noticed something. She was waking up less. Then, not at all. After 2 weeks, she told me, stunned, "I slept straight through the night for the first time in 2 years." And it didn't stop there. Her energy came back. Her moods leveled. She stopped forgetting her keys. Her appetite regulated itself without any effort. The puffiness in her face and hands began to disappear. And for the first time in a long time, she told me, "I don't dread waking up anymore." She didn't need to overhaul her life. She didn't need more hours in bed. She just needed to stop triggering her system when it was supposed to be shutting down. The same body that had felt broken suddenly felt functional again, because it was finally allowed to do its job. And Teresa's story isn't rare. I've seen it again and again with older adults who thought they were just getting old, when really they were just being misinformed. They were doing what they were told was healthy, never realizing it was exactly the thing disrupting their sleep. Late-night fruit bowls, evening smoothies, even natural fruit juices, all sabotaging the healing window their body depended on. This is the power of understanding timing, of learning the language your body actually speaks. Because when you remove the silent irritants and introduce calm, supportive foods instead, your biology responds fast. You begin to feel shifts, not in weeks, but days. This is the kind of transformation that doesn't come from a new supplement or a fancy device. It comes from giving your body what it's been begging for in silence: the chance to restore itself without interference. And if it worked for Teresa, it can work for you. But there's one more habit that's sabotaging your recovery, and most people do it after brushing their teeth. It's not food, it's not drink, it's not blue light. It's something you've been doing for years, maybe decades, without ever realizing how deeply it's been interfering with your body's ability to shut down and truly repair. It's so ordinary, so automatic, that you'd never think twice about it. But it's keeping your nervous system active when it should be winding down, and until you change it, even the perfect diet won't be enough.